Good morning, students. In this video, we are going to discuss Understanding Refugeeism, an introduction to Tibetan refugees in India, which is written by Mallika Mishra. First of all, we can see about the author. Mallika Mishra is a research scholar and a sociologist. She specializes in the area of education. She has a doctorate from JNU, New Delhi. She was awarded the Sarari CSDS Independent Research Fellowship and a postdoctoral research scholarship by the Center for Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram. Currently, she is a consultant with the National Council of Rural Institutes. Let's see an introduction about the chapter. This lesson is an extract from the research scholar Mallika Mishra's book, Tibetan Refugees in India. This book provides a fundamental idea of refugeeism. The essay examines the international dimensions of the refugee problems and the two theoretical approaches to ethnic identity. Let's see the summary of the chapter. Who is a refugee? A refugee is a person who flees from the home or country seeking refuge elsewhere, as in a time of war or political or religious persecution. How UN Convention on the Status of Refugees defined a refugee. The 1951 UN Convention on the Status of Refugees defines a refugee as a person who, owing to a well founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion, is outside the country of his nationality and is unable or unwilling to make use of the protection of that country. The refugee category is defined by trauma and stress, persecution and danger, loss and isolation, a feeling of rootlessness and alienation characterize their experience. Owing to such fear, he is unable or unwilling to make use of the protection of that country. Refugees are a special group of people who are forcibly uprooted from the native soil and transplanted in a different environment. They are usually seen as a heterogeneous category of people. Let's see the origin of the term refugee. The term refugee was originally coined in the West to refer to the French Protestants who flee from the forced conversion policy of the French in the late 17th century. Towards the end of the 18th century, refugees began to be considered as people who leave their country in times of distress and stress. Let's see the difference between refugees and other immigrants and ethnic minorities. Refugees. Refugees are people who flee from the home or country seeking refuge elsewhere, as in a time of war or political or religious persecution. Immigrants. Immigrants and ethnic minorities move another country in search of greener pastures to improve their economic position. The refugee problem was recognized as an international problem requiring global cooperation in 1921 to 1922. But the real movement to protect refugees began with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It proclaimed basic human rights for all human beings, irrespective of nationality. It was recognized that refugees are not simply victims of human rights violations. They represent a distinct group of individuals who are not in the protection of a national state. Simon Weil's concept of rootedness helps in understanding the problem of refugeeism, the loss of roots, and the need to seek the preservation of these roots in exile. According to Simon Weil, to be rooted is the most important and least recognized need of the human soul. A human being has roots by virtue of his real, active, and natural participation in the life of a community. It is brought about by place, conditions of birth, profession, and the social surroundings. Every human being needs to have multiple roots. The whole of his moral, intellectual, and spiritual life is sustained by these multiple roots. Let's see the problem of refugees in our time. According to W.N. Xenox, the problem of refugees in our time is the uprootedness and homelessness they experience. Their space is not really geographical but rather political. Let's see the challenges in rerouting process. Lives along with preserving the culture and identity in an alien country is a difficult task. In this context, Lisa Malki's research on migrant and refugee populations is relevant. She regards the conceptualization of process of relocation and reconstruction as a smooth journey of people who neatly pack their roots and transplant themselves in a new society in an orderly manner as erroneous. According to her, such a concept ignores the fact that immigration constitutes a great legal, political, social, economic, and familial crisis. The attempt to balance tradition and modernity for survival in exile produces several tensions in both the young and the old. There are two major theoretical approaches on ethnic identity. First one, the primordialist approach. Second one, the optional situational approach. Let's see what is meant by the primordialist approach. The primordialist approach conceives of ethnic identity as rooted in similarities in physical appearance and common culture. Common culture may include a shared language, religion, and a sense of common origin and history. Ethnic identity persists in the face of all changes. What is meant by the optional situational approach? The optional situational approach conceives of ethnic identity as an ongoing process. Here, individuals or groups see themselves in different ways. Here, it is his or her situation that defines identity. It is understood as socially constructed. What needs to be recognized is that refugee problems exist even today. The total number of refugees worldwide is near to 15 crores. During the last 3 years, lakhs of people fleeing from Syria were given asylum in Germany by Angela Merkel. During the Indo-Pak War of 1971, around 3 million Bangladeshis sought refuge in India. It may be now noted that the problem of refugeeism is too complex to be solved easily. Dear students, this is all about understanding refugeeism and introduction to Tibetan refugees in India. Thank you.